Hi everybody, I'm Tim from Trout and Feather, and as you can see, we are just in front of one of my favorite rivers in the world. We're in Iceland. It's the Myrkrist River, but that's not how it's pronounced, so I'm gonna let this guy do it. This is Maddie from Iceland Fishing Guide. Maddie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Myrkrist. You just gotta roll your R's a little harder.
Yes, I'm not even gonna tell my rolling R story, but I will tell all of you, we have a really great, a very informative video because I've been fishing this river for years, and I bring lots of groups here to Iceland to fish this very river. They ask me so many questions about it. Why should I answer all those questions about fishing in Iceland when I have the pro right next to me? So I'm gonna pick his brain, but stay tuned because somewhere throughout this video we have a little giveaway. Whoop, whoop. So if you are just watching closely and listening, you might be a winner. So without any further ado, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, so we are here in Iceland, and what I really find fascinating is that we have this system in Iceland that kind of falls based on how Europeans fly fish. And we have this thing called the beat system on the Myrkrist. So I asked Maddie to talk a little bit about the different beats, because we have 4 beats that we fish every year on this river. I love all 4 of them. He's gonna talk about kind of how the structure works, how we rotate through them, and maybe give a little tips for each beat. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, so basically we fish 2 sessions a day. We fish a morning session from 8 to 1. And then we always take a lunch break from 1 to 4. And then we fish an evening session from 4 to 10. And so if you start beat 4 in the morning, for the afternoon session, you will have beat 3. So you're moving down the river. And that way, you will have 1/4 of the river for yourself to fish on each session. And you always have, this is 1 rod per beat, so you always have a rested beat, when you either rested during the night that you start on or rested during the day. So, you're not immediately following somebody else, But, having said that, a 15-mile long river with 4 beats, 4 people is the maximum we put on here, on any given day. So even if you just had to chase somebody and we didn't have this break in midday, you would still, have more water than in most places in the world to fish.
Let me make sure you're all hearing this. This is a 15-mile long river divided by 4. So it's not exactly 4 miles per section, but there were 2 of us, there was 2 of us fishing each of these beats. We were sharing a rod as we were chasing these salmon and some brown trout. And that whole beat, that's all yours for that session. So really phenomenal. It really doesn't put a lot of pressure on these fish.
No, it gives you a good chance. You have all these pools to fish, and you're searching for salmon from pool to pool. And sometimes you hit them in all the pools, sometimes you hit them in only one, and sometimes you strike out, although that's not as often as it used to.
I know. Look, we've been lucky. I mean, I know I've said this now. This is my 2nd year in a row that I brought groups for salmon, and every angler has caught an Atlantic salmon. That's the beauty of Iceland. Yeah. There's a lot of fish in this river, and we have lots of opportunities. And we have anglers from every level, beginners, intermediate, some advanced, anglers. They all caught them this week. So it was nice.
Yeah, and the good point is also, when you're chasing salmon, you're trying really hard for one really big fish every session. Sometimes you might get lucky and get more than one. But if somebody, struggles with the hunt of the salmon, anytime you can just change it into a dry fly and dry fly fish for big trout instead.
Well, at one point, yesterday I was walking up on beat 4. Yeah. With my guide Benny. We were having just a wonderful time, and the salmon they weren't on. They weren't on up there. So I said, let's switch over. We started dry fly fishing, and it felt like every 3 or 4 feet, there was a brown trout of significant size. And Benny and I we played a game. It was called the 5 cast game, where you got 5 casts to catch a fish. And if you couldn't catch one in 5 casts, the other angler, it was their turn. And I can tell you, Benny, he took cast 1, 2, 3, 4. There was no fish, and on cast 5. He got the brown trout that you're looking at right now. Beautiful dry fly eat. What's the game we're playing in Iceland, Benny?
It's the 5 cast game.
How do we play 5 casts?
Well, one takes 5 casts, and the other one takes another 5 casts. Which cast was that on?
That was on cast number
5.
Number 5, you caught this brown trout on a dry fly. Let's show them the brown, man. Yes. All right, let's see this fish, Benny. Oh, Myrkrist brown trout.
Doesn't get much better, does it?
Oh gosh, put this guy back. Look at that thing. There he goes. Oof.
Nice.
Beat 4, salmon wasn't on, the brown trout were. Please pause and like this video. By clicking the like button, that tells me you enjoy this style video and you want to see more like it. Thanks ahead of time. All right, so now let's just say, hey, we're fishing this river. I'm an angler. We do a drawing at the beginning of the week. I draw a card 1. What does that mean? What's my day going to look like? What's that session going to be like?
Yeah, so that's the bottom half of the river from pool 22 and down to pool 0.5. A typical session is when I'm guiding, I try to hit every single pool in the beat, because down there, that's where you're most likely to hook into a fresh running fish, coming in. That's always a good plan, to try to, rather than staying on a pool, for 2-3 hours where you can see a fish or two. If they're not taking, the first 5 flies you show them, just move on, because there might be a taking fish somewhere that you're going to leave if you don't cover enough water.
I heard you say pool 0.5. Below 0.5, correct me if I'm wrong, the Mirror Crest runs into the Laxå River?
Yeah, that's where the confluence is with the Laxå, and we are allowed to fish right down to the bridge, but no further. And the same with the people fishing the Laxå. They're not allowed to fish right into the confluence, just so they get a little break to smell their water and make their way into the river before they're caught on either river.
Then, how far below that confluence is the ocean?
It's about 5 kilometers.
Okay.
And our salmon, because of where the Miraquist runs in, it stays and it doesn't really mix with the Laxå water. You can see it when there's a tint on the Miraquist water, that the Miraquist water just runs exactly on one side. So when the Miraquist fish run into the Laxå, they stop in the pool right on that side, and they try to run the biggest waterfall on the Laxå, and they jump, and then sometimes it takes them a few days before they really realize they just have to go a little bit out of their water, jump up, and then they can return to where they were born.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, which I like. I don't know. I like beat 1. Maybe because I've caught a couple of fish out of pool 2, which is pretty low in the river. You're looking at a picture right now of sea lice that was caught on my salmon, the one that I landed yesterday. So it was so fresh. They think it was probably in the ocean 24 hours before I caught it. Is that
Yeah. It was within 24 hours, because the sea lice completely goes off the fish after 24 hours.
Okay.
So
let's work upriver. No, before we get upriver, let's do this. We're fishing beat 1.
Yeah.
Somebody comes out, they're going to fish beat 1. What's that one pool that it's just really special to you?
Oh, I guess, it doesn't necessarily have to be the most productive pool, but I would say in beat 1 it would probably be pool 15.
Okay.
But then, because I love to fish that pool, we don't get that many salmon out. Oops. Yeah. So the only thing is that, there is probably another pool that's even more special to me, and it's 2.5, and it's something we dug out, and I named it after my really good friend Alistair Bentel. And Al's Run is the name of the pool, and I've caught fish in there, and it's just, it just warms my heart every time I fish Al's pool. So that's, it has more to do with emotions than anything else.
Okay. All right. So for all of you hearing this, you're going to fish the Miraquist, beat 1. Check out pool 15 and pool 2.5. Those are 2 special ones for Maddie.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's move upriver. We're going up to beat 2. My wife's favorite beat. Heather loves fishing. In fact, at one point, I had the option of fishing with one person or another. One of them was Maddie. And I said, hey, I'll go over here. Heather, you fish with Maddie. And she's like, no, he's not fishing beat 2. And she loves beat 2. What do we call it? The canyon beat? Do you have a name for that? Because it's just mesmerizing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has the canyon beat, but it also has all the home pools. And so, it's like half canyon, half not. And some of the canyon pools can be a bit intimidating to people.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, tell us about this. What defines the lower part of beat 2?
Yeah, the lower half runs through a pretty steep gorge, and most of them are quite threatening when you get to the pools for the first time. I remember when we started fishing here, we had to figure out ways of how we can fly fish all these narrow pools where the fish are right underneath you and everything. So we've tied up a selection of flies that are certain weights, and sometimes we're shortening our tippet down to something like this just because you're so close to the fish. So we've come up with great methods to be successful in those pools down there.
At one point, we were on this pool today. It was pool
28.
Pool 28, and Maddie says to me, "Are you afraid of heights?" Before I even had a chance to answer, he just starts walking. So I follow him. I don't know why. So I start following Maddie, and he says, "I want you to fish from here." But here is this little piece of grass rock, and I'm overlooking the water by like 30 feet, something like that, 35 feet. I don't know. Long story short, I hook a salmon from 35 feet in the air. And Maddie says, well, we have a choice. You can either come down here or stay up here and fight it. He said it was more productive to stay up top. So imagine me. You're probably looking at the picture of my rod going and my line going down towards Maddie, who netted the fish down below. It was amazing. Just a beautiful 82 centimeter salmon, but that spot was so special.
Yeah.
And so many of those canyon spots, good news, you don't have to do that. They're not going to make you fish from up there, but there's just some really neat ways. There's one that has a ladder going down to the spot. There's some you hold onto ropes, and there's other places you walk down the path, just zigzags, and you get down there. But what's interesting is as you start moving a little bit more upriver, you get to these pools that are behind where we're filming. What do you call these?
Well, these are the home pools up here, and then above pool 36 that's right behind us is one of the bigger salmon ladders in Iceland. All the salmon that want to migrate up onto the plateau have to jump this incredible salmon ladder, and up there is where it really goes wild. You're really away from everything. There are no houses there, just a mud track to get to the river, and it's as wild as possible with the with Kinnafjord, the mountain ridge behind you. That's
so
the backdrop
beautiful
on the photo. I mean, there's nothing quite like fishing small flies up there at the top.
No, it's beautiful. Well, wait, hold on. We're not going up there yet. I have two stories, but let me first pick your brain.
Yeah.
We fished beat 2 today.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you the same question. If there is one pool that you're like, hey, we can only fish one, doesn't have to be most productive. Which pool has the most meaning? You got a story behind it too.
Ooh, I would probably say 26 because it fishes so nicely from the water surface. Small flies hit, swinging, all of that. I would say 26, and if not 26.5. Troll's doorway. Yeah, I'm a busy guy.
He's a big. Are you calling him right now? Come on.
Yeah. Stop.
Watch the video, then call him. Don't do it now.
Let me finish the interview.
All right. Well, I kicked Maddie out, and we have Gylfi here. This is the head guide at Iceland Fishing Guide. Welcome, man.
Thank you.
No, thank you. The group that fished with you, they caught a lot of salmon. Yeah. I know my wife Heather fished with you for one session. She caught a nice salmon, so did a great job. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
But Maddie said I can pick his brain. I can ask him any question I want. So I'm going to make just 2. Question 1, we have 4 beats. We're here, it's end of July. If there was one beat you could fish right now, what's that beat and what pool number would you go right to? Doesn't have to be the most productive, just what's your favorite pool out there?
I would say right now, early July, fish should be running. 26, it's a very nice pool to fish. Has a nice, glassy surface. You can often see the fish that you're casting to.
Yeah.
And the takes are often very nice, so it's a very good pool this time of year.
Okay, so say we're going down there tonight. You're going to take me down there, and I say, what's the first fly we should fish? What are you thinking?
I would say for pool 26 we would start off with a small hitch, move on to smaller flies, and then finish up on a nice sunray.
Okay, so I heard a hitch, smaller flies, finish with a sunray. I'm just kind of dipping my toes in the water with salmon fishing over the last few years. The hitch, can you talk me through, if I'm making the cast for the hitch, what's the steps for that? What do I do? How do I interact with my rod? What am I trying to get the fly to do?
So it depends a little bit on the speed of the water that you're fishing. In general, you want to be able to slow it down. So it's usually a 45 degrees downstream cast, and you want to do a mend to slow the flight down. So it's not coming quickly across the pool. You kind of want to stop it over their head, so it's kind of skating in front of them, and it's going to end up annoying them. You can move it, but it's often really good on a dead drift as well, just trying to stop it over their heads, and then we'll go for it.
And when this is happening, it's on the surface, right?
Yeah, it's skating on the surface, so you can see it very well.
So you can imagine, close your eyes and picture this in your head. You have this fly that's just skating across the surface, creating a little wake, and then behind it, you see a salmon that's coming and it's ready to gulp. When that salmon starts to chase that fly, should you stop it, keep stripping? What do you do at that point?
When you see the fish move it, you don't want to. If you're stripping, you want to keep stripping.
Okay.
If you have it still, you wanna then you just let it finish its drift. Sometimes if they've chased it, you're fishing it on a dead drift and you've seen them move with it for a little bit, you might want to try change it up to strip and see if that will get them to come up and take it.
Okay.
But in general with salmon fishing, whether it's a hitch or small flies, if you're stripping and you see a fish come for it, you have to continue what you're doing. You don't want to stop or change anything. You want to keep the same rhythm.
All right, last question. So then the fish eats. What do we do next?
So ideally you want the fish to turn, you want them to get stuck on your own. And especially with the hitch, the takes are often quite explosive.
Yeah.
So it's a big splash and so a lot of things going on. So most people's instinct is to set the hook. That's what you don't want to do. You want to try
You hear what he said, don't set the hook.
Definitely don't set the hook. Ideally, you often keep the rod a little bit up when you're hitching.
Yeah.
So when the fish takes the fly, you actually want to bow down a little bit. So you give him a little bit of slack so he can go up and he can make that turn. And ideally when he turns, the fly hook is going to get stuck on the cheek, which is the soft tissue.
Okay.
If you set the hook, the hook is going to sit somewhere at the front of the mouth in the nose, which is hard tissue, and it's very difficult to get it doesn't sit very well there.
That sounds awesome. He gave a ton of tips. He made it sound so darn simple. It's not that way. The beauty of having a guide with you is that you can walk him through. You can say, all right, do this, don't set, wait, raise your rod, and then the fight begins. So, I've heard you've really helped out so many people, not just with my group, but with the other groups, and I really appreciate you taking time to do this. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, he's going fishing now.
Yeah.
26.5.
Yeah.
I believe I caught a fish up there. That's the
Trolls doorway.
Merrycrest River, Iceland fishing guide in the canyon. I think this is the Trolls Canyon. Atlantic salmon. I'm in love. Why is it called Troll's Doorway?
Well, it kind of looks like a big door that somebody needs to slam, but it would be for trolls because they're so big.
Yeah. What's cool above this beat too, there's that fish ladder, and you're probably looking at it right now. You're looking at some drone footage because right before we started this, I put my drone up in the air. I flew it up towards that ladder so you could see what it looks like because I've never seen it up close and personal, and I wasn't planning on it until some birds took out my drone, and then Heather and we had to scoot up there to figure it out where my drone was. We found it. And then we also got this beautiful selfie in front of the fish ladder. So these fish, they make it up there and they enter beat 3.
Yes, sir.
This is my favorite beat. There's just something just so special about it. Maybe because I've caught a lot of fish on beat 3. What's beat 3 look like? Can you kind of describe it, the pools?
Yeah, well, it runs on top of the plateau. It's kind of, slow meandering down, but nice deep pockets with... with these breaks, and very often they sit, just before the break. Some really slow pools there, but deep that I really love. And beat 3 is probably everybody's favorite. I think.
It's mine. Listen, it's favorite, so let's do this. Because this is my favorite beat, this is the giveaway time. You've been listening, you've been watching, so we'll do a quick giveaway. Let's do this. Down below in the comments section, if you want a chance to win, you can comment as many times as you want. Let's talk a little bit about Iceland. I'd like you to comment down below. Whenever I say Iceland, what's the first thing you think of? So comment down below the first thing you think of with Iceland. I'm going to send you 2 things. One is an Iceland fishing guide shirt. They're super nice, lightweight shirt. I like the camo pattern. And then number 2, I'll send you a copy of my new book, Tying Euronym. So you got to comment down below. I'll pick a winner in about a week. I'll post it on my YouTube community page. I'll get your address, and then I will send those your way. All right, back to beat 3. I think the reason I like this beat so much is because you have the ability to kind of do that 45-degree cast downstream, maybe do a mend, and then do these little strips.
Yeah.
And I think what I really appreciate from what Maddie's doing with this river that you don't give yourself enough credit for. He was telling you on beat 2, we used heavy flies. But beat 3, really small stuff. I mean,
tiny.
Like
I remember the first time you and Heather fished with me up there. You came for just a part of a session, and we were working a pool, and ended up. Heather had a tiny, small size 18 fly, and she hooks into one, and eventually in the fight, the hook gets bent
terrible.
open, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's just nothing quite like getting these big beasts on these tiny little flies.
All right, so we love beat 3.
Yeah.
Last one, beat 4 before it runs into the lake. Tell us a little bit about beat 4.
Beat 4 is the top of the river, of course. Some years, especially if it's really hot, a lot of the fish would want to be at the top because the river sometimes is colder up there. Some years they're quite slow making it up, but it's always one of my favorites. It's the first beat really where when I was younger and I started fishing here, it's the first beat where I figured out where I could get salmon and everything, and it's always holds a big part in my heart.
Yeah, for sure. It's a special beat.
Yeah.
I mean, I've caught salmon up there. I've caught brown trout.
Yeah.
I caught a char on beat 4, which this river, that's been the only char I've caught.
Yeah.
Is that the only beat you can find char?
We catch the odd char all over the river, but it's very rare.
Okay.
Some years are different than others, but the char really prefer to go to the river that is above the lake that feeds the river.
Okay. Let's get into species real quick. So I know you can come and fish the Miracrest for brown trout. We fished it April 1st. You're looking at a picture of Maddie with a fish, like the opening day. That's opening day. It was cold. I'm not telling you not to go that time of year, but it was chilly. We're here, I try to pick like a peak week to bring a group every year. We're here the end of July. Talk about like when do salmon start? How long are they in the river? What's kind of that season?
The first runs we start seeing in the middle of June, but it's usually fewer big fish, and it depends on how good the big fish runs are going to be. But I would say we sell it as trout fishing with a good chance for salmon up until about sometime July 10th to 15th. We start really focusing on the salmon, and the runs usually start picking up this week, the last week in July, and through the first week in August, and I would say that would be the prime for running fish on the Miracrest. Of course, then, water levels would dictate. Sometimes this changes because of it, but this would be, the most solid option for silvery running fish coming in.
Okay. I like that you said the word sell, because I'm going to go back to something I said in the beginning. European, in a sense. This isn't like the United States where you just buy a license and you're good to fish the entire country. It doesn't work that way. Can you kind of talk through like how you have access to this river and how people can get access?
Yeah, so basically, we through a lease agreement with the landowners, we hold the river rights. We are the ones that sell the fishing license and operate everything on the river. So when you're buying a package, you don't have to buy a state license or a government license. It's all included in the package that we have. Okay,
so basically whenever, if you're like, oh, I love this, I want to fish this river, it sounds really special, which I do, and it is, you have to go through Maddie to kind of get your access, and you can decide if you want to do a DIY thing or if you want to do a guided. I'm going to say go for the latter, especially if you're newer to salmon fishing, because the guides here, they're incredible guides. I've forged many friendships with all of them, but they know where the fish are. They know how to get you to the fish. They know which flies to you. I mean, it's just kind of...
That helps.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. All right, well, now we've kind of wrapped up beat 4 in a sense. We have this lake above, and you told me before we got out here, rivers in Iceland are a little low. The Miracrest didn't seem too bad.
No.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's definitely been a dry and hot summer for the most part, but the Miracrest is lucky because it has two lakes. One just above the river that feeds it, then there's a river that comes from another lake up in the highlands. So anytime we might get a day of rain, but it might give us 2 weeks of water here. So, those reservoirs really, keep the river from getting too low most of the time. Also, the pool restoration we've done is we've secured that there are enough lice for the salmon to be in, even on dry summers like these.
How long have you been fishing on this river?
Probably about. That's a good question. I gotta really think back to answer that, but anywhere between 15 and 20 years, something like that. Okay. And I really, I think when I started fishing here, I didn't really know much about fishing, didn't know anything about salmon, so I really, learned to fly fish, learned to dry fly fish with trout, learned to salmon fish on this river, so it has a big part in my heart. it's definitely my favorite river and will remain that way, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of mine too. I've been bringing groups here now for a number of years. I plan on bringing another one next year. So if any of you are interested, I'm not quite sure if we're going to do just all the Myricris. Maddie secured another really special river in Iceland called the Litla.
Yeah.
I haven't fished it yet. He's trying to convince me to come back in April and get chilly again and fish the Litla. I'm going to, and so that we might add that one. You might look on my website and say, oh, it's a split between the Myricris and the Litla. Just Google Litla and you'll see why, it's a really special river too. But now let's kind of wrap up the Myricris. You now have like the access to this Myricris. You bring people here. Once people leave and they message you afterwards and they want to come back, what do you think the draw is? What's the appeal to this river?
I think it's a lot, First of all, the salmon population is now really healthy. We got good numbers returning. You always got plan B, C, D. If something isn't working for the salmon, you can always, go catch browns on dry fly. You can go up to the lake and catch as many char as you want. We could fish the little river at the top. I think it's just, and the river is itself as well. The river is like 5 different rivers. It's that, big canyon beat, and it's, it's the plateau up there, or the plains downstream. It's just, it's everything in one river, really.
Okay. Yeah. People are coming. Let's do some gear stuff real quick. What weight rod?
8 weight for the salmon. 3 to 5 weight for the trout.
Okay. Does it have to be a 2-handed rod for salmon?
No, all single-handed fishing.
That's all I fish. Single-handed. It's very easy. Not easy, but I will say this, because I do tell people, like, you can bring a single-hand 9-foot 8 weight here.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
But practice casting before you come, because when you come here, you're going to be casting for a number of hours in the morning, a number of hours in the afternoon. So take some time aside, at least a half an hour a week, half hour a day. Just get out and practice, just so you're used to it when you get here.
Good points.
Many of you are going to want to contact us about fishing out there. Maddie, how can they reach out to you?
Through you, basically. Well, we have our website, icelandfishingguide.com, and then, I'd love for people to join your hosted trips over here. We really appreciate all the help in, marketing the river and bringing all these groups. It's always a fun trip.
Listen, I bring a lot of like-minded anglers here that enjoy catching fish, having wonderful chef-prepared meals in this lodge that we're sitting next to. It's a special river. I hope many of you can join it. And my website is troutandfeather.com/travel. You'll see all the travel opportunities, the Myricris River. Get it on your list. Maddie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, go back. He's got to do some work. He's got to do his work now. We got to go fishing in 20 minutes.
See you in Iceland. Okay.
Go.